Jordan. A spectacular move.
Be clear.
Bring it home, Kobe, baby. Oh, he came up behind him like a librarian. He never heard him.
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen.
G'day guys, welcome back to the Casual Fan Experience YouTube channel. We're missing two of the lads tonight. Tommy and Luke couldn't be here. They've got a debutante ball to attend. So
yeah, young fellas.
Just me and Brendo. We've been through all that in our life, so I suppose it's just us here to talk about basketball today. So, I mean, we missed our predictions and stuff for Game 3. Unfortunately, due to again probably the young fellas, we couldn't get that video out. Really letting the team down. But we're here for Game 4, which is probably a must-win for the Golden State Warriors, if there ever was one.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah, it's tough. They lacked a lot in that Game 3. They came out a little slow, had a big third quarter, and then crumbled in the fourth. Similar to not as. Well, I mean, people were saying not as bad as Game 1, but they only scored 11 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they scored 16 in Game 1.
Yeah.
So it was a tough one for them. Especially when they finally got a decent game out of Clay, had a couple of shockers out of him. Steph obviously had another good game. Jaylen Brown got out of the gates quick. I think 17 in the first quarter or something, got out quick. And then he focused on playing good defense. Still solid, still put another 10 points the rest of the game and shot, I think, 9 of 16, or something like that. But Jason Tatum took over late, as did the other boys as well. It's a tough one. What do you think?
Celtics look good.
Yeah, they look tough.
To me, there weren't many passengers on the court for them.
That's fair. Yeah.
Whereas the Warriors seem like they're carrying Draymond. He's not quite there.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether he's carrying injury or not, or he's too focused on his podcast.
Well, that's right. Well, as you said, no passenger. Jason Tatum had 26, Jaylen Brown 27, Marcus Smart 24, Al Horford 11, 8 and 6, Rob Williams 8, 10, 3 steals, 4 blocks.
Yeah.
I feel like he had 3 offensive rebounds, as did Al Horford had 3 offensive rebounds. Marcus Smart had 2, Brown had 3, and Tatum had 1. Offensive rebounding was massive in that game. And I found it very interesting that despite offensive rebounding playing such a factor, that Looney kind of just sat on the bench for ages. I played 16 minutes, and after he was a player that through the last couple of series, his rebounding has almost won them the series. So for him to be sitting there whilst the Celtics are dominating on the boards was, I thought, an interesting decision, and probably the wrong one. It's tough. You mentioned Draymond. He's had an absolute stinker of a series. Yeah, he's been probably the worst version of Draymond Green I've really ever seen. And
I think you called in the first one. It really needs to be Draymond to step up.
Absolutely, and they need their best version of Draymond in order to really make it a series. Like, his intangibles when he's playing well are exactly what they need to win.
He's near triple-double numbers sort of thing.
Well, he's triple singles, but 9 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals, like whatever it might be. Definitely tough one. Yeah, his stats there somewhere, but he's shooting like 29%, taking too many shots when he's shooting that. But the issue is, and like I noticed it a lot, obviously, in all the games, but Game 3 specifically, like they were giving him the Ben Simmons treatment from 3. Like they were, like Marcus Smart specifically was allowed to just roam defensively, which, I mean, he's a defensive player of the year. You can't, you want to make him accountable. He spent a lot of time when Draymond didn't have the ball and was just parked in the corner or somewhere, just like in the paint. Because I mean, it doesn't seem like refs are calling the defensive 3 seconds in the playoffs so far, but he was just hanging there, cutting off lanes, and then every time Draymond caught it, he's just like, okay, shoot it. Like the only time I saw him help onto Draymond Green was when Clay was curling around him for a catch and shoot. Yeah. So he needs to somehow make the defense accountable, and it's not through shooting. So he needs to either cut or he needs to get the ball earlier and make a play, but it can't be just shooting. Like, he's just been horrendous. Like he said, I think it was on his podcast or an interview a couple of weeks ago, this is about the time of year where I start shooting 42% from deep, and since then he shot like 19 or 20%. So it's
Has he hit a three?
He's hit a couple, but it hasn't been pretty. It definitely hasn't been pretty. Yeah, it was interesting to see a couple of possessions today. Jaylen Brown in particular, like hunted Draymond Green, like on defensively. Draymond Green was like a negative defender today, which is unusual. Like he was, sorry, not today, yesterday. It was unusual that the Golden State Warriors were better defensively when he wasn't playing.
Yeah,
which is like rare as like it doesn't happen. And there are a couple of times. So in game 2, like there were times when like Jaylen Brown would catch the ball and drive immediately, and Draymond was there to contain the dribble, or whether it was Jason Tatum or whoever it was, though he was there to contain it, and he defended really well. This game, it was like there were a couple of instances where Jaylen Brown caught the ball, made his initial move, didn't get past him, so backed it out, and literally told people to clear out. Like didn't want the screens, didn't want anything, and just put his head down and just big boyed him. And it was like it was interesting to see. I was like, it's surprising, not something I expected. But seemed like a focus, and he got fouled, and they fouled him out. So
I mean that last foul was pretty stupid, just sort of throwing someone to the ground.
It's not a smart play by any means. There were, and look, the officiating throughout this whole series has been pretty poor. But I feel like it's been pretty well split as well. Like I feel like it's kind of gone both ways. So I'm not super upset about it. I'm sure if I was a fan of either team, I would be.
I think he was more concerned there was a no call on Steph Curry and Al Horford landing on him, but I don't think there was a foul there.
Nah, it's a tough one, right? When there's bodies flying everywhere and like it's not like it was an intentional play or anything. No. I mean, that'll be a massive talking point tomorrow. Is like obviously Steph said yesterday that he thinks he'll be right. Steve Kerr sort of said we don't know. Obviously, his availability is massive. If Steph misses even one game, but especially multiple games, the series is wrapped.
Especially the way he's playing at the moment as well.
He's their real low bright star at the moment.
I heard an interesting stat, and I know you and I have been both old heads of sort of thing. You go, well, who are you going to pick in playoffs, Kobe or Steph? And we're both going to say Kobe.
Obviously, Kobe,
but he's averaging better numbers across the board, sort of thing, including rebounds. Than Kobe did for the playoffs, which is pretty unreal.
Still take Kobe, but
you still take Kobe just because it's a different beast. But
it's a good point though. And look, he's had a really dominant like playoff career, right? Like when he's made it, they've been really well. And obviously this last stretch they've been really good, and like he's still been really good these playoffs, and these finals. The interesting thing is because, and I was watching a video earlier, I can't remember who it was by, but it was interesting. He was pointing out, obviously, with the Draymond Green and helping so far off, it meant they could double Steph really early and force him to move the ball, but not in like an assist, like a positive movement. It was just he had to get rid of it. And those sort of things, like while Steph is still getting his points, his assist numbers aren't what they probably could be as well, and getting guys involved. The gravity of Steph is kind of working against him a little bit at the moment. But and Jordan Poole, I mean, the whole team kind of has struggled a lot, like to really consistently score. And it's taken good adjustments from the Celtics head coach and probably a lack thereof from Steve Kerr. He seems very set going in with this small lineup a lot of the time. But I mean, if you're sitting there and you're watching Rob Williams grab offensive rebounds and Al Horford grab offensive rebounds.
Well, that's it. If you're running out a team where Jason Tatum, who's more of a power forward, running at small forward,
especially in the modern era,
then you got to look at playing Draymond, who's 6'6", 6'7", at center.
Right. And that's what they're doing, right? And like in a pinch, he can play that position, but not. He's in foul trouble. He hasn't been playing great. Even defensively, he wasn't playing amazing. A change had to be made, and I'd like to see some more probably Otto Porter minutes. He's been pretty good for them. Just that big wing. Gary Payton Jr. as well, or Gary Payton second. But it's been tough for them. What'd you make it? I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but what'd you make of the comments about the crowd from obviously Clay and Draymond?
Oh, look, it's all good. I don't mind him calling him out. But it goes back to Warriors fan calling LeBron
what he called them back in the day.
Back in the day, and he must have got his feelings hurt.
Exactly.
Well, hang on.
And it's one of those things, right? I was kind of watching, and I was like, look, they're allowed to call him out. I don't have a problem with them saying it, but like, it just sounded a little bit like sore losers at the moment. Like, and then look, I'm not to say there's nothing inappropriate says. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff inappropriate said, but like, I also believe that last year in the playoffs, they're sitting back and watching, and they were watching what went on between the Hawks and the Knicks.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, Trae Young,
Yeah.
Trae, like the tryout was like rocket.
Yeah.
And Trae Young's, soaking it in and responded really strongly to it. I'm sure Clay and Draymond would be at home going, oh yeah, that's basketball.
Yeah.
And if it happened at Oracle, or not Oracle anymore, whatever it is now, they'd be like, oh, it's just a passionate fan base and stuff. But I think it's because they lost it in Boston and it was. So I think they're fine to call him out. I don't probably call him out, but I think it was a little bit.
But it goes both ways.
Like, I think it was just a little bit.
If you're going to call them out, call your own fans out when they do the same thing.
I think it was a little bit more. They were just they were bummed that they lost.
I think so too.
But so I mean, I guess for me, going into this, game 4, big thing obviously they need Steph to be healthy. And I think he is. I think, as I said, from all accounts, he's fine. They also need to figure out how they're going to stop Rob Williams and Al Horford on the glass, like the offensive glass. Whether they don't want to go necessarily with Kevin Looney more, but then it needs to be a more concerted team effort to stop that happening, because they can't. Yeah. So many times there's just a rebound, it was kicked out to Smart for a 3, or a dump down pass to one of the bigs to dunk it, or. Jason Tatum's been doing a really good job of feeding the ball to everybody. Game 3 was
11 offensive rebounds from the starters. 12 offensive rebounds from the starters.
Yeah, 11 or 12, which is big, and they had a few off the bench as well. So I think they had 4 or 5 off the bench. I think they ended up with maybe 16 offensive rebounds, which is just far too many.
Yeah.
To be giving up and expect a positive result. The interesting one will be how they combat those offensive rebounds, how Jason Tatum continues. I thought yesterday was a really good example of Jason Tatum kind of at his best, distributing and scoring.
Yeah.
We saw in the first game he distributed the ball really well. Second game he scored really well but didn't distribute as well.
Yeah.
And then this game it was kind of a good combination of both, and that's what they kind of need out of him. I really like what Jaylen Brown's been doing as well. He's really been picking his moments and he's scoring in bunches.
Yeah.
So he set the tone for game 3. In game 1, he really ignited that comeback in the start of the 4th. So he's been doing a pretty good job there. We're just and I think other than Steph, I think he's actually leading the Celtics in scoring this series as well. So I mean, probably making a bit of a statement for final MVP if they keep going the way they are.
Yeah.
But defensively for Golden State, they need to figure it out. They've been pretty average defensively, with solid defenders around. But Draymond needs to sort himself out. He's just had an absolute stinker. And after obviously after game 1, he came out and had the comments I'm sure you guys will be saying I should be working harder, this and that.
Yeah.
And it's well, looking at it, maybe. When he said those things, I was absolutely, mate. You're right. But then it's kind of happened. I'm going, maybe you could have been working harder.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyway. Who you got?
I've literally picked the Warriors for every game. And look, I'm going. It's got to be the Warriors. I'm still thinking. I think they've got to win one.
They have won one.
No, but game 2 was a bit different. Game 2, I almost felt like Boston lost it more than. I don't know, mate. I'll say Warriors. I think they bounce back. I think Steph and company bounce back. I think Clay got off the leash a little bit in game 3, and he's going to do the same again. And I think Steph's going to keep doing Steph things. And I think, whether it be Wiggs or Poole or maybe Draymond finds his way a bit, I think someone's finding their way, and I think they'll bounce back. So I think it'll be 2-2 heading back to Golden State.
I said to you the other night, or catch when we caught up, that I think we go back to Golden State. Boston up 3-1.
Yeah, okay, yep.
And I still think that.
Yeah.
I don't think they win there. I think the crowd's in their head.
Yep.
Particularly Draymond's.
Yep.
And I don't know. I know Draymond's. He's a good player, and he can turn it around. But that's a big turnaround that he's got to do. He's so out of form.
Yeah, he's playing
this finals.
That's fair.
I don't know if he can do it.
Yeah,
that quickly.
No, that's fair. Look, I understand that. And look, I'm very torn because, as I said, I picked Warriors every time, and it really hasn't been good for me. But I still am just kind of waiting for them to have that breakthrough moment that they're going to have, and I'm still waiting for the Celtics kind of youth to catch up to them as well. But it hasn't at the moment.
It more looks like the age of the Warriors have caught up to them. The youth that they've got in Poole and that.
Yeah. we're struggling a little.
struggling a little bit.
Yeah. Whereas on the flip side, you've got, I mean, and I say youth in the Celtics, but like they've been tested before. Like, the more I look at Jason Tatum, they've been in East Conference Finals before. Obviously the finals is a different thing altogether, but like they've been tested through playoff series. They've been, obviously, at the beginning of this season they were tested through a hard stretch. So I don't know. I'm going to say Warriors again, but I think as I said, every game I think is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Game 2 is a little bit of a blowout, but I still find it entertaining to watch. I think it'll be close, but yeah, I think the Warriors will even up the series.
Yeah, no, well, I have Boston.
Yeah,
on this one. I think you can't let their three, Tatum, Brown, and Smart score 70-odd points.
I mean, anytime Smart's giving you 20 plus,
yeah,
on a relatively efficient basis,
yeah,
you're in a bit of trouble because that probably means the other boys getting off the leash as well.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, it will be interesting. I think one of the other, like, you got Steph, you got Clay, who both need to have good games for the win. But you just need one of the others as well to step up. And I think Steve Kerr needs to figure out his rotations a bit differently. I think something's not working. I think maybe he got a little bit complacent with being able to run the death lineups that he used to be able to run. And obviously this team isn't structured the same way. So we'll be
there's another stat, and this for me sort of stands out.
Yeah.
Boston are running at the moment when Robin Williams is on the floor.
Yep.
He's the only non-shooter.
Yeah.
On the floor.
Yep.
Other than that, they have 4 to 5 shooters on the floor at all times.
Yeah.
Warriors are averaging about only 2.5 shooters.
Yeah.
So they're classing Wiggins as sort of a half shooter. He's not really lights out.
Yeah.
Which I think, going back to the Warriors that won the chips.
Yeah, it's unusual.
Yeah,
they used to spread the floor so well. Saw a similar thing. The Boston offense, especially when Rob Williams was sitting, was basically just a 5-out offense, which not only like spreads the floor for shooters, it also opens up driving lanes for your Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Which isn't, when you've got Draymond in us. Maybe that's what Steve Kerr's not playing Looney for.
Yeah.
But I mean, surely with the way Draymond's been playing, you could substitute a couple of minutes of his and throw Looney out there.
With Williams and Horford on the floor, I think I'd prefer Looney on there than Draymond at the moment.
I think so, currently.
So, but yeah, I've got Boston for that reason.
Yep.
I think
that's fair.
They got boys in form. White's playing well off the bench. He gave him another double-figure scoring off the bench the other day. Horford's playing well.
Yeah, they are. They're playing. Look, they're playing really, really well, and I guess that's why I keep drifting back to the Warriors. I'm waiting for the floor to fall out from underneath them a little bit, but it hasn't happened, and it may not happen. But look, I'm hoping for. All I hope for is a competitive series. So because I don't follow either room.
Yeah.
If I was a follower of either room, I want to sweep, but.
And you're a Lakers fan, so you can't go for the Boston.
I can't. I just can't physically. It does repulse me.
I get it.
Yeah, I just can't. But yeah, I mean that's all. I guess really for the game. I do have something I was going to talk about on the potty, but I thought because it is the finals and it's just something interesting that I thought. Anyway, it's the top 10 players in these playoffs that have gained the most new followers on their socials.
Oh, okay.
So during the playoffs, I thought it was interesting. So number 10 was Jordan Poole, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Young player going to the first finals, having a bit of impact, a few highlight moments.
Yeah.
He's gained 384,000 followers. Number 2 was PJ Washington. Somehow I think he dropped a couple of songs maybe. So
he has dropped a couple of tracks.
So he
still think Dame's the best rapper in the league.
Yeah, I think someone said Bones Highland from the Nuggets dropped a track recently that's pretty good. So but he did himself a cool 387,000. Number we got 8. Jeez, I lost count after 2. Number 8, Kyrie Irving, 392,000. Number 7 was Russell Westbrook at 406,000. Number 6 was Jason Tatum at 583,000. Number 5 was Lonzo Ball. Didn't even play in the playoffs, 598,000. Number 4 now. Klay Thompson, 603,000. Fair enough.
I thought he would have been pretty high already, though.
Yeah, I mean, but new fans or whatever. Number 3 was Ja Morant, 909,000. Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Really came to his own in the playoffs. Number 2 was obviously Steph Curry, 1.4 million. Number 1 was LeBron James with 5.2 million. Didn't even play in the playoffs and just dominated, at least socially. So whilst he, he's not having an impact on the court.
Speaking of LeBron, did you see that little video he put up of
with his son? Yeah, having a bit of a shoot. Yeah.
That was cool.
It is cool, man. And obviously this is a bit off topic, but whether you love or hate LeBron, he's very involved with his kids. And, which is good. But anyway, I think that's everything for tonight. Nice quick one.
Yeah.
Geez, it goes smoothly when the boys aren't involved. Otherwise, peace out. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Catch us next week.
See ya.